Yeah, because it used to just be this used to be CRP. And so when we had to maintain it, it was always nice grass. And you'd sit in those stands over there and they'd always, bucks would stand up in here. You come out there, we're out here with does, you'd see them chasing around does, and now they hardly even go in here. I mean, maybe they go in there, but you can't see them anymore. But I don't think so. This used to be like our best spot for sheds, and we haven't found a shed in here in years. I knew maybe 2 bucks that hit 200 over those first 15 or 16 years. But now since then, in the last 6 years, I've shot 5 myself. We've got so many projects to do in such a short time to do them, but that's why you go with Vail stuff. All right, well, I just ran back up here to take a look at the CSP job that Ed and I started. It was a huge job. You know, through the whole month of April, it was cold and dry. And so I said, I'm not gonna plant yet. You know, it's just the soil temperatures are just too cold. It's a perfect time to start working on these CSP and CRP jobs and all that kind of stuff. And Ed and I had literally, with the Vail equipment, 2 of us, it literally took us 2 days to clear out this entire thing. If you remember what this thing looked like when we started, it would have been an entire year job. Well, here's one of our bigger projects right here. You can see what a mess this is. We're trying to burn through it a little bit, but it's not, you know, they won't get a lot of fire through this. So much of it is that blackberry stuff, and there's, you know, hedge trees growing up all in here, and they've gotten pretty big. I mean, this place used to be, you can see around here, there's a nice, beautiful food plot we have up here. Got a redneck right over there. And when this used to be in CRP, you know, where we had to clean it up and had to take the trees out of it, this was just such a nice, beautiful grass bowl in here. We call it, like, this field is kind of shaped like a pair of sunglasses. It's got, you know, like the lenses out in the middle, and then there's a nose piece bridge right in the middle here. And so many of them used to bed up in this. You know, but then when the cedars started coming up in there, it was even better. They'd lay up against that. But then when it came out of CRP, you know, when we didn't have to do the mid-contract management and stuff, we just kind of let it go. And now it's just turned into a jungle. And you can see all the hedge trees and this stuff. It's gotten so bad. Like, we got one big highway right here that deer use come through it. But if you walk down this thing, it's just such a wall that deer can't even walk through this. So, you know, we should have cleaned it up a long time ago, but, you know, you get onto a million things, and, you know, pretty soon you look at this and you're like, ah, look at the mess we've got. But this is where, you know, your skid steer and your Vail equipment just comes in handy, because this looks like if you didn't have that and you're going in here with you just firing a chainsaw or something, you're looking at an entire year job to do all this stuff here. But you'll see with us, when we have the right equipment in here, we'll come in here and it's a one-day job. Yeah, because it used to just be this used to be CRP. And so when we had to maintain it, it was always nice grass, and you'd sit in those stands over there, and they'd always, bucks would stand up in here. You come out there, we're out here with does, you see them chasing around does, and now they hardly even go in here. I mean, maybe they go in there, but you can't see them anymore. But I don't think so. This used to be like our best spot for sheds, and we haven't found a shed in here in years.
Yeah, touch the nose. Yeah. And then sometimes I gotta do it.
I mean, they have their tools and I have mine. The electric weed whip. Theirs are a lot cooler.
All right, well, work day here at the crush. We've been doing a lot of burning and getting a lot of that stuff done. Now we got about another, I don't know, a few days before we can probably get in the field, start planting, but still in the stage of trying to get all the work done that we can in between.
Rock and roll. we made a little bit of a mess there. I think we got about a third done in about 45 minutes. It'd be nice if we get our saw in here and we get all these locust trees cut down and spray those stumps. We've got a little bit of cedar work to do back over this hill here. It's a little bit too thick in some areas, so we're gonna go and just cherry pick out a few cedars. And
all right, well, Dad got a start on me up here, so I'm gonna come with the saw and I'm gonna cut all those trees off. So let's just, why don't we have several different projects up here. Let's just go clear that whole thing out and get it to where we want it.
Okay.
So, and then just take all the locust trees that I cut and I'll spray them with this too, so I'll kill them right there. And you just grab them and stack them up. And I'll cut the trunks off them too. We just want those tops, and we'll lay those tops on the ditch side, like closest to the big bean field up there.
Okay.
And we use that like we're talking about with Ed for turkey bedding. I think a lot of times we take those locust trees, all the thorns, and put them down first, not the trunks, just like the kind of the tops, right. And then throw some other stuff over the top that turkeys have been go nest under there. No other things want to go in there with all those thorns in there.
It seems like it's worked on my farm pretty well, so.
Right, it's worth a try. Remember what this thing looked like when we started. It would have been an entire year job for me if I didn't have the Vail equipment. So just looking at this right now, some of the weeds are starting to come up, so I'm going to come and spray it. I came back just a few days ago and started, I thought the cedars might be a little tight. You know, you want to have cedars. I've never had a farm yet that was awesome that didn't have cedars. I just didn't want these to get too thick. But I just keep looking at this right now, and we got these couple of draws in here, and I was thinking this might be a great place for a pond right in here. So I think I'm gonna plant corn. I see it kind of feels like rain. I gotta get back to planting now. Everything is just dried out. We had a couple inches of rain 2 days ago, and we're about ready to get back in and start planting here. We got more rain coming tomorrow, so I'll probably go and plant right now. And that's just the way that, you know, farming, and for me, all our food plot stuff and deer stuff, that's the way it works. You just take what the weather will give you. So if it rains again, I think I'll get that mini excavator in here and put some ponds down in here. You know, I look at this, you got beautiful food plots, and we're gonna get this and tall, like warm season grasses and the cedars and great bedding again like it used to be, and get rid of all that thorns and blackberry bushes and locust trees and everything else. You can see what we've done. It just totally changed that landscape right there. And I'll spray it one more time to make sure we kill all this stuff in here before we go in with the warm season grasses. But just looking at it, I think I want to put a nice pond right there. We got a redneck blind right there, and just it's a beautiful scenery in here. But I don't have any ponds up on this end of the farm, like up on this field. And normally, like every food plot that I have, I want to put water in there. If I don't have water, I'll make one, or bring out a tub of some sort to have water on it. This is a perfect spot. You know, it'll fill up fast. You see it comes on for several. These got to be 8 or 10 acres that will drain into that, so it should fill it up pretty fast. And I'll just make a nice pond down in there and put a dam on that side, so I have some water out here as well. But I'm gonna go take a look up at the cedars up here and see what I think about that. You see, it's so awesome when you could come in here with the bulldozer and done the same thing, but I would have had mountains of trees and stumps and sticks and everything. And you can look on the ground here. This is what a Vail mulcher does. I mean, some of these are a little bit bigger. Maybe when we plant, we'll have to take some of these out, some bigger ones like this. But even if you didn't, you can plant, you know, our no-till will go right over the top of that. But most of it's just little pieces here and there. By next year, you won't even see them, you won't even know they're there. It's just so much faster and so much cleaner with the Vail mulchers and all of Ed's equipment. And so you look at all these cedars. This whole side over here was a wall of cedars. And that on that side was blackberry bush, and on that side blackberry bushes and thorns where a deer couldn't even walk through this. And see, if you just left it like this, which I've done in the past, I've run out of time and you go, okay, I got everything cleared, it just grows back thicker. Every one of those locust trees from the roots just grows hundreds more, and it gets worse. And that's what, and you end up with what this started like at the beginning. So that's why right now I'm gonna make sure I come in here with spray to make sure I kill all, not just the grasses and broadleaves, but all the woody material, and make sure that all that is dead before we plant anything else. But now you can take a look at these cedars. Like I said, I've never had a good farm yet that didn't have cedars on them. So I don't want to take those out. Even if we got tall grass in here and good thermal cover, they still love to tuck in and lay next to those cedar trees. Especially in the wintertime, you know, thermal cover under there, and in the summertime, you got shade off of those. Like a lot of times in the heat of the summer, they can lay in that grass, but the sun still beats in there. So they always love being up against these cedar trees. The only other thing I can do, some of them I might trim out some of the branches around the bottom, just so they can get up, tuck underneath them quite a bit. But you're looking here, I made sure there's none of them tight together, so that I can get a mower and stuff in between all these, so they can still get the benefit of the cedars, but I don't want them too tight together where they start getting to this point where you can't get through them. So as long as I can get a mower in between all these, that's good. So I think there's enough cedars in here for that thermal cover and shade and stuff that we want in here. What a transformation when you look at this from what it was. And I always got to make sure I follow through. Like I said, I've done this before where I've gotten to this point, and then you get busy on the planting, get on something else, and say, okay, I'll get to it next year, and pretty soon, 2 years later, you got a jungle again. So we're gonna make sure that we get this sprayed, everything killed, planted again. This is gonna look 100% different this year from sitting up in that blind that it did last year. And it's just gonna improve the farm so much more when you have places like this where deer love to be. This is where we always used to find sheds. They used to bed in here in the wintertime, and you know, this is where they wanted to be close to the food. I remember sitting in those blinds so many times during the rut, you know, bang, in the morning you get first sunlight coming up, and boom, you see a big rack out here, steam coming out, chasing does through this stuff. And then over a few years, it just got overtaken with the thorns and locusts and stuff, and there wasn't even a deer in here. So we're gonna start taking this field back, and this is a good start, but we got to finish up on it here too. Well, that kind of wraps up our CSP and CRP segment here on YouTube. And like I said, you can see this, you know, what we've been able to do, and it just shows if you have the right tool for the job, like all these Vail implements. It literally took us 3 days to do this, something that was like an insurmountable job just by looking at it if you just were sitting out there with a chainsaw and didn't have that kind of equipment. But like I said, on this project, we'll pick it up on future episodes of what we're planting in here and what we're spraying on it to kill all the woody stuff. And you know, I'm going to put a pond down in there. We'll show that, how we put ponds in here and how big and how I want to design them and all that stuff. But for right now, thanks for watching. Keep checking in every Monday. There'll be new episodes for you.